Hello. Today we are looking into what was ruled a suicide of Twitch. Twitch boss, he was on So You Think You Can Dance, and a part of the Ellen DeGeneres show. I typically do not follow celebrity type cases, but for some reason this one's calling to me, and I think it's because it's going to be a gateway into something else that I wanted to touch on. But it's really calling to me, and I kind of want to figure out what happened. I admittedly do not know too much about this case right now. I wanted to do this reading and then look into it, because that way it takes any of my thoughts out of it and just gives us the channeling. I am going to look into the case more after this reading, but I wanted this kind of as a baseline for my research. So he was found in a hotel room that he had checked into the previous day. He did not check out, and that's when management or the hotel people went in to check on him, and found him. It said no signs of foul play, and he passed away from a gunshot wound to the head. When I look at him, I do see signs in his eyes of like a deep depression. I do read that off of his energy very clearly, but I'm also feeling like that's not the end to this story. So let's figure it out. I first want to know, where's his wife's name? Allison, his wife. So in the 6 months leading up to his passing, his energy, his wife's energy, and the energy between them. Oh, all three came out. 7 of Wands, the Chariot, and the 2 of Swords. So 7 of Wands is his energy. He was standing up for himself in some way, putting up, I don't want to say putting up a fight, but he was defending himself against something, defending himself in some way. Something was moving along. There was something coming, or something was changing. There was some kind of bigger change either approaching or already in the works of happening. And Allison, his wife, was trying to decide between at least 2 options. Let me get some clarifiers for this to see if that was more personal or relationship related. Pull clarifier for each. We have the 8 of Swords clarifying the 7 of Wands. That's the mental illness there. And then the Hermit is clarifying the Chariot. And then, oh wow, the 2 of Pentacles is clarifying the 2 of Swords. So we have the 7 of Wands for him, which means that he's standing his ground, he's defending himself, he's standing up for himself in some way, or fighting for something that he believed in, fighting for something that he thought was right, or refusing to back down from something that he thought was not right. Something along those lines. And then we have the clarifier of the 8 of Swords, which that's being trapped in his own mind, trapped in thoughts that are not benefiting him, possibly those like not healthy thoughts. He felt like he felt like his power was taken from him, or that he wasn't able to like use his power, like essentially. So he's famous, so that should come with some type of privileges in some ways, is what I'm saying, and those privileges were not happening. Like he felt like he didn't have a say over something, or he was losing control of something that was important to him. There's some element of feeling trapped and unable to defend himself to the extent that he wanted to. He was doing all he could to let it know that he wasn't happy with something and defending himself in some way, but he wasn't able to fully, like, full send the way that he wanted to. Something was keeping him back, like restricting him, and that was creating this battle in his mind that, like, it's like the opposite manifestation effect. So, like, what we think about manifest into our reality. We attract what we think about. We attract what we feel we are. But his reality was showing him a sense of powerlessness because someone was stripping his power or abusing their power, causing him to be not able to decide for himself in the way that he wanted to, essentially. So that was kind of seeping inward, and he was starting to feel very trapped in his own mind due to the overflowing of that was taking place in his physical reality. Then we have the Chariot and the Hermit. So something was moving forward too fast, or something was moving forward in the direction that he didn't want it to go in. There was some kind of movement that he was not happy with, and he wanted to kind of just take a moment to catch his breath, seclude himself for a little bit, kind of look, like how I said, it's like the opposite manifestation effect, where everything happening in his reality was kind of seeping in and creating that feeling of being trapped internally. This is like him trying very hard to fix that by wanting time to look internally to figure out what moves he should make externally to help whatever this situation was. And I believe that that's what this choice is about, because we have the Two of Swords and the Two of Pentacles for his wife, Allison. Both of them are about, like, making a choice, choosing between different options. We have the Swords, which is like something that she's thinking about, something like he's very trapped in his head, and she's the one that's kind of like yielding the sword. So, like, she has more power than him in whatever this situation is that's occurring, and it has something to do with money. There's either she's pressuring him or was pressuring him in some way to make some kind of decision. Whatever it is, it's something that was a mental, I don't want to say warfare, but like there was a battle about a decision going on in their household, and they were on opposite sides of it, the wife and Twitch. It had something to do with money, and it was like a logic problem, like oh, you should see it this way because this makes sense, and he was like something along the lines of, I don't feel that's right, or my morals don't align with this, or I want something else for myself. I want something along those lines. That was in the 6 months leading up to his death. Now let's go into the week prior to his death. I want to know his internal dialogue, or his internal energy, external energy, and the bridge between the two. So we have the High Priestess in reverse. He was doubting himself. He was out of tune with his inner guidance system. We have the Six of Wands in reverse. That's right under the Chariot and the Hermit. So, and the Six of Wands in reverse is like retreating after failure, kind of not wanting to be in the public eye. And especially underneath of the Hermit, which is about that seclusion, isolation, and then we have the Chariot. So something was moving forward or moving along in a way that he didn't want to be viewed that way in the public. Like, for example, it could have been like an opportunity to do something that maybe his wife was pushing him to do so that they could make money off of it. And he was like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want for my image. Something along those lines. But yeah, he wanted like a, I always feel like that's tied to mental health. So I feel like he kind of, whatever this was that was moving forward or moving in the wrong direction, it's almost like he was like, I just want to pump the brakes for a minute. Like, I just want to take a minute, collect myself. I want a minute out of the public eye. I just want to step back temporarily, even if it was just like a long weekend or a week. He wanted some time away from the public eye because there was some kind of decision that was affecting him mentally, and there was mental pressure being put on him to make a decision that wasn't the decision that he wanted to make. And then that was his internal, that's the bridge, and then the external. Ten of Swords. And that's right under his wife's 2 cards about decision making. Yeah, he felt betrayed. He felt like, why are you not having my back on this? Why are you not understanding that this isn't, I'm not comfortable doing this, or I'm not comfortable. This decision had something to do with how he would be viewed to the public, by the public. So it had to be some kind of like a gig, like some kind of a job that he wasn't aligned with, and he wanted to like work for a bigger cause. Like he like built up his name to a certain level, and now he wanted to kind of like use his powers for good, I guess you could say. Like he wanted to use his platform in a way that wasn't just like celebrity being in their success. Like he wanted to give back in some way, and that was starting with the decisions that he was making and the roles that he was putting himself into. And there was some kind of role that wasn't going to align with that, and he was like, no, I'm ready to really step into this persona of making a big change in the world, bringing change, bringing something. And essentially what I'm getting from the wife's energy is that she was like, no, you need to do this so we can make money. And that was like so I have the 3 rows, and the middle row is the energy that's between them and the energy that is bridging his internal and external realities. And we have the Chariot, the Hermit, and the 6 of Wands. So that's like a huge message that things were going too fast or in the wrong direction, and he wanted to retreat internally and kind of get out of the public eye, or not be seen in the light that would be shown on him for whatever this role or opportunity was that he wasn't aligned with. And he felt like, you know, why are you not understanding this? Why don't you understand that I don't want to do this? Why don't you understand my vision going forward? Something along those lines. And again, that's, I guess, a fairly common marital problem when you don't quite agree with your spouse on all of their goals or all of their visions. I'm not, you know, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what could have happened here. But that was a problem. In the 6 months leading up to it, it was a big problem, and especially in that week before, because we have the High Priestess reverse and the 10 of Swords in that row that's representing like the week before. So oh, my phone's gonna die, of course. Crap. Something took a turn for the worse within that last week before he passed away, in terms of whatever this decision was that was either brewing or already in place. It could have been an opportunity that was being talked about or put in the works that he was trying to not do, or it could have been one that he already agreed to, that he was looking at it in a different way. Maybe he found something out about it. So it doesn't have to be something new, but it's something that is recent in terms of some kind of major change and him wanting to really take his vision in a different direction than whatever this opportunity or gig or whatever was. I gotta get my phone charger right back. Okay, so it says that his wife went into LAPD Tuesday, frantic, saying he left home without notice and wasn't answering her calls. What was going on in the hour prior to, however, Twitch ended up leaving his home? Four of Swords in reverse. The Fool. Huh. Devil in reverse. Oh. Four of Swords in reverse is about being like getting ready to do something, getting ready to act. The Fool is about jumping in with both feet into something that you maybe not prepared for, or like a new adventure, a new avenue. And then we have the Devil in reverse, which is about recovery. So in the hour before he supposedly left his house with an Uber, he was getting ready to expose somebody. He was either talking about doing it, planning on doing it. It didn't happen yet because we have the Four of Swords in reverse. So it's about getting ready to do it, being ready for it, preparing yourself for it. So in the hour before he left his home, he was getting ready to do something that was a big step, and it had something to do with freeing himself from these mental shackles that he had been experiencing. It was fighting back in a different way. It was let me get some clarifiers for these. Clarifier for the Four of Swords with the Fool. Ace of Cups. This is something that he was very passionate about, very emotional about. Clarifier for the Four of Swords and the reversed Devil. Five of Pentacles. Financial loss. He was getting ready to do something or cut some kind of ties with somebody that was going to result in a lost opportunity or a burned bridge of some sort. Hold on one second. Okay, now we're going to look into what was going on internally in Twitch's mind that in the 5 minutes before he left the house until he left the house. Like, what was going on inside of his mind at that time? The Emperor in reverse. He felt like he lost his power in the 5 minutes before he left. Six of Cups in reverse. He felt like he couldn't get... This is something that had been either offered to him before and he turned down, or something that someone was trying to get him to do for a while that they just started putting additional pressure on him for. But it's something that like persistently wouldn't go away. Like, this isn't a new problem. This is something that had some build up to it. Maybe it was that previously he was like, oh, I'll think about it, and then he thought about it and was like, no, that's not what I want for myself going forward. Why do I feel like this? Is this Emperor another person? Five of Swords in reverse. Not a fair fight. Do we have any proof that this was an Uber that picked him up? I would be curious to see the proof of that, if there is any. I would be curious to see if that Uber driver, I mean, I guess you could just get someone to say they were the Uber driver, but I'd be curious to know if that Uber driver... Okay, what I'm thinking is, that was not an Uber. It's almost like somebody showed up and they were like, meet me down the street and I'll pick you up and we'll go talk this out. Whatever this was that Twitch did not want to do, he interacted with someone within the 10 minutes of leaving his house. So either 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after. He interacted with another person who made it seem like everything was going to be okay and that he was going to be able to back out of whatever this was, but he wasn't. And that made him realize that he didn't have the power to decide for himself in this aspect. Because the Six of Cups is like, won't let it go, just won't let it go. Keep going, won't let it go. So it's like, for example, if someone were to say, hey, meet me down the street in 10 minutes, we'll talk this whole thing out. It's fine. You don't have to do this if you don't want to do it. We're just going to go and talk. We just need to talk in private. So they go to the hotel. For example, they go to the hotel. And then once in the hotel, it would be like if the other person was like, all right, listen, you actually really can't back out of this. You actually need to do this for whatever reason. And made him feel very backed into a corner. And the other person had some kind of power over him that made Twitch realize that it was going to be a problem if he tried to stick to his guns in whatever this was. Okay, I want to jump ahead to... For some reason, I'm feeling like I want to go past when he passed, like, we're going to look into right after he passed away, and then we're going to go back to how he passed away. What, if anything, was going on in that hotel room after he lost his life? Ace of Swords. Judgment in reversed. Unfinished lessons. Somebody got what they wanted by him passing. Let me pull a clarifier, 1 second. Knight of Cups. Somebody was emotionally invested in this outcome happening. Somebody, Judgment in reverse is making me feel like somebody somebody else was in that room after he passed away to make sure that the scene of the passing away told a certain story. And that was suicide. That they wanted the scene to tell. Somebody... The Knight of Cups is making me feel like it's really pointing to me that suicide letter that was left. What else can we know about that suicide letter that was left? Death in reverse. Refusing... Death in reverse would be like him, like, would be like Twitch refusing to change his mind. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Or no, that... Either no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to expose this, or you, or something along those lines. And maybe he wasn't saying that. Maybe he was saying, okay, I won't do that, but they didn't believe him. Or maybe he was just outright like, I'm not going along with this. Not for me. One of them. Somebody had an emotional investment in either the information that Twitch wanted to release not getting out, or they had an emotional investment in him doing or not doing something that was being pressured upon him to do or not do. Death in reverse is also like a repetition of a negative pattern. So as I said, this isn't something new. This is something that either was like asked and answered, where he was like, no, I'm not doing that, and they just didn't want to accept no for an answer. Or it's something that he was like, I'll think about, and it just kept getting pressured and pressured, and one of them, but something was... I'm really feeling like it was something that he wanted to say to the public. Something that he wanted to release. Because we have the Ace of Cups, which was the... Oh no, that was the Ace of Swords. Didn't we have that? Oh, wait, the Knight of Cups. Oh, that's even... so there was some kind of there's some kind of message. There was some kind of message that he was keeping inside that was causing him to feel trapped in his own mind, and he wanted to release himself from it. I want to pull a clarifier for the Death in reverse. The Moon in reverse and Strength in reverse. So something's being hidden. He was trying to release the fear that he was feeling. So that would be like if he wanted to... For example, if he wanted to expose something or someone, and it was like holding it in, holding it in, holding it in, and then he made the decision to finally say something that was not previously being seen, he kind of got over his fear and was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get out of my way. I'm going to start making moves, whatever this was. It's something that was like, maybe that's what I'm seeing in his eyes. There's like a very deep pain in his eyes. And I'm feeling like it could be because he was holding something back for so long that he just couldn't anymore. There was something that either... For example, it would be like if there was something going on and a large group of people were all turning a blind eye to something that wasn't right that was happening. And he was like, I can't anymore. I can't let this happen anymore. For example, my opinion. But somebody was trying to chip away at Twitch's confidence so that he would not do whatever he was thinking or say whatever he was thinking. They were trying to essentially mentally undermine him so that he lost confidence in himself and his ability to deliver whatever message this was. One second. Okay. So now we're going to go into the actual event of his passing away. He died from a gunshot wound to the head. How did that happen? Seven of Swords in reverse. Getting caught. Somebody caught on to whatever plans he had. Eight of Wands. The word, you know what it is? This would be like, for example, my opinion, let's say Twitch discovered something that was going on, that was whatever it was that he discovered got to him on a mental and emotional level. He felt like he needed to bring peace or bring a resolution to whatever this was that he discovered or uncovered. So this would be like if he said something to... I'm not going to use names. Okay, so this would be like, let's say Twitch said to person A, hey, I discovered this. And this is someone that he really trusts, person A, someone he trusts very closely. It would be like if he said to person A, hey, I discovered this, it's really bothering me. I've been thinking about it, I can't get out of my mind. I'm going to bring the truth to light here. And let's say he went back and forth kind of having this conversation with that person, and person A was kind of like, don't do that. Oh. It wasn't a new opportunity, it was losing the opportunities that he already had. Because if he were to expose or say something or make any waves, he would lose something that he already had going on. So essentially person A was like, don't do that because you're going to lose money, you're going to lose everything you have, you're going to lose your reputation, something, something, something. So it would be like if he was confiding in person A for a certain amount of time, but realizing that person A wasn't really giving him the feedback that was helpful to his cause. So he reached out to person B and said, hey, basically the same thing he told person A, but person B, either they themselves were like, I need to put a stop to this, or they told somebody else and that person was like, there needs to be a stop to this. But the Eight of Wands is fast communication. So it would be like if person B immediately called somebody else and was like, hey, Twitch told me this. He's going to do this. He's going to say this. Something like that. It would be like if person A was already being watched over by somebody else to kind of make sure that he didn't fly off the handle with this. And then once they heard it, that he was talking to a second person about it and not just that first person, that's when it became a problem. And I would say that this would be in the week, like reaching out to person B would have happened within a week before his passing. Because Seven of Swords in reverse is also regret. So it's like, like not knowing truly the strength of what you're up against. What else? Let's do a clarifier for the reversed Seven of Swords. Queen of Wands in reverse. Drama from a feminine person whom he had intellectual conversations with, like someone whom he connected with on a mental level is that person that he was confiding in. Somebody he was trying to get advice from, somebody he was trying to, how should I handle this? How should I go about doing this? What steps should I take? Oh, we had the 4 in reverse. He had already made a decision. This would be like if he had already made a decision, like, I'm going to do this, I'm just asking you for help of how to do it. And that person was not someone that he could trust. But he had made his mind up. Maybe he was already in the process of doing it. I feel like I'm getting something, but I don't know if I want to say it. Hold on a second. I'm going to clarify for what's in my head. 7 of Pentacles. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. My opinion, okay, this is all my opinion based off of the energy that I'm reading. I'm getting that he was writing something. He was either writing something like a note or a letter to someone about what he had seen or found out, or maybe he was like tracking things through writing. It may have been like digital writing too, like on the computer, but there was something that was written down. There was something that was being tracked or written down. And he had told somebody else about that. About, for example, let's say he had a list of notes in his phone that had like dates of what he saw on this day or that day. It would be like if he said to that other person, person 2, or person B, whatever I said it was, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to expose this, or I'm going to say this, or I'm going to make this known, I'm tracking everything, blah, 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 blah. How should I handle this? What should I do? It had to be in his phone. One second. The Magician in reverse, manipulation. Huh, yeah. My opinion, I believe he was tracking something or had something in his phone that had to do with either exposing someone or something that would have had very negative repercussions for the person on the other side of it, but it was something that was really affecting Twitch, and he couldn't turn a blind eye to it, even if there was several other people turning a blind eye to it. And because there was several other people turning a blind eye to it, he was trying to make sure he crossed his T's and dotted his I's before burning a bridge or saying his piece. I believe that he did not go to that hotel room to do this. at least not initially. He went to that hotel room because somebody wanted to see if person B was being honest about what he had on his phone and get the chance to have him alone where it could be deleted. But once they saw the extent of what was on his phone, or the proof that he had, I'm feeling like at first it may have just been to delete that text, or to delete the mess, wherever the notes were that he had. At first it may have been just to delete them and teach a lesson. But once they saw exactly what he knew on there, things went bad. I want to know a little bit more about how he passed away. The Empress in reverse. Two of Cups. I almost feel like it was someone that he trusted that he was meeting in that hotel. Either he was meeting someone there, or maybe he had to be somewhere where no one else could hear a conversation and then someone else showed up. Like, it might not be that he went there with someone. This is someone, either he was going there to be in seclusion so he could call someone where no one else could hear the conversation. Because if it is about something that is, people want to keep quiet, they're not just going to want to talk, I guess, in like an open house where other people could hear or something. Like, it would make sense to be like, hey, go to this hotel, call me when you get there and we'll talk. So it could have been that, or it could have been that he was picked up by someone and taken there. But he went to that hotel initially to talk about whatever he knew that he was getting ready to act on doing something about. Okay, I'm getting something very strongly and I keep getting it, and I'm trying to like work it out in my head so that I don't say the wrong thing, but now I'm getting teary-eyed, so that usually means I'm right. I am feeling like he wrote that letter, the suicide letter, because it would be too heavily examined by people upon his passing, that if it wasn't in his handwriting, it would be able to be found out. But I'm getting that, like, let me pull a card before I say this. King of Swords. Yeah, okay. My opinion. I'm getting that, like, so let's say he was writing a bunch of stuff down. Maybe he was writing it in a letter form to somebody, like the note was written, or maybe he was just making a list. I'm not sure. But it's almost like if somebody else was like, your punishment now is writing a suicide letter. It needs to be believable, blah, 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 because that's what you're doing by going to expose this. That's what you're doing by putting this information out there. You're writing your own suicide note. So now you're going to physically write one. I almost feel like he thought he thought that after that he'd be able to walk away. Or it could have been that that triggered him. We didn't get that far yet. I'm trying to take it step by step. But yeah, I'm feeling very strongly like he was made to write that note because he was writing something else down that could like have somebody else lose everything. So it was like being said to him like, oh, you're writing your suicide note anyway by exposing this or exposing them or doing this. So now you're going to write it so you can know what it feels like if you keep going through with this. Yeah, because I just feel like there's pictures, and I'm sure that there's other copies of his handwriting online, and people do look very deeply into all aspects of these type of cases. So like, let's say you have an autograph of Twitch's and then you see the suicide letter and it's like, he didn't write that. It would have to either be someone who spent time to like make it legit, or it would have to somehow come from him. What happened after that suicide letter was written? 5 of Cups. Ace of Wands in reverse. There was... I really feel like he was made to write that letter thinking that he was going to be that, like thinking that that was his punishment, was actually having to feel what it feels like to write that letter because essentially if he were to expose whatever it was, it would be the same thing as suicide. That's what the message was that was trying to be conveyed to Twitch. Because the Ace of Wands in reverse is like a false start. So it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go now. And then I feel like I'm getting it all. It's like coming through very clearly. It's almost like he wrote the letter and then thought that that was going to be it. Like the lesson of, okay, now you're not going to go and do whatever it was that you were going to do because you're scared now. But then there was another element, and that involved the gun. Page of Cups. This is my opinion, but I'm not feeling like this was a suicide. I do feel like there was deep mental torment going on. I do feel like he was a lot more emotionally and mentally wounded than he let on to the public and the outside world. I think that that has a lot to do with not being supported by those who were closest to him. So like if the people that are closest to you are like, oh, don't be your full self, don't make decisions that you feel are right for you, that kind of makes you feel like you can't be that way with anyone. So I do feel like he was very deeply disappointed in how everything was going. Like disappointed that people weren't there for him in the way that he was there for other people. Disappointed that he felt like he could make a big change in some way and he was being stopped or blocked from doing so. So I do feel like in terms of, you know, mental illness is often a big trigger for suicide. So I can see how everyone would be like, okay, I do think that's a possibility, especially if you can read energy and you can read the pain in his eyes. Hold on. I don't want to go too far into this part, but I do want to know just like, what is the energy behind whatever it was that Twitch wanted to, or whomever it was that Twitch wanted to bring to light, expose in some way, something. He wanted to make some kind of massive change that was going to affect other people. What was on the other end of that change? Justice and the King of Pentacles. He stumbled onto something big. He stumbled onto something big that was going to affect the livelihoods of the people who would have went down with the ship, so to speak. He was only looking to... How can I say this? It would be like if he discovered something and he wanted to bring the main person to justice, or have them stopped, or have them pay for what they've done, something along those lines. But there was people who would have gone down with him. And that's where the problem came in here. That's why other people wanted to take those notes off of his phone or whatever it was. The wife did say, or the cop said, his phone was shut off and put on airplane mode so that no one would be able to contact him. I'm wondering if they're saying the phone was wiped. I don't know if the whole phone was wiped, but there was definitely something that was deleted off of that phone before it was shut off. Clarifier for the King of Pentacles. Knight of Wands in reverse. Yeah, they were trying to buy time. Whoever it was either called him to the hotel room so that they could delete that off of his phone, or called him to the hotel room so they could talk in absolute privacy and get him to delete it off of his phone. I feel more strongly like somebody else was in that hotel room when he got there. I feel like he was directed or told or something to go there so that they could talk about this by someone that he at least semi-trusted, and someone who made him believe that he was going to be able to take the next steps in whatever it was. And then either it was a different person that was there when he got to the hotel room, or that person turned into a different energy than he was used to. My opinion, this is all my opinion. I believe that suicide note was written by Twitch, but I almost feel like it was teaching him a lesson. Like, oh, look, if you expose this, or if you say this, or something like that, you're pretty much signing your own suicide note, so we're going to make you write it now. Write it down. What would you write? It needs to be believable, or you're not getting out of here. You need to write it down. And then clarifier for justice. Page of Pentacles in reverse. Sorry, there's like hair in my face. Yeah, this was like... It's like initially... I don't know if initially he was going to end up dead from this. I think initially he was directed to or led to that hotel room so that they could delete anything off of his phone or anything like that that he had. Or maybe see what it was that he had. Because if it was deleted, it could still be on another device. But maybe it was that they wanted to see the extent of what he knew, and he knew too much. The Page of Pentacles in reverse is like kind of like trusting somebody that you shouldn't. So I really feel like he... Maybe person... So he talked to person A, wasn't helping. Reached out to person B. Maybe that person... It would be like if that person reached out to another party and said, okay, he knows something. We got to find out how much he knows. I know that he has it written down because he told me he's keeping track. So you play the... I'm going to make it seem like you're going to help him and that you're getting involved now to help him. But really, we just need to find out how much he knows. I feel like that second person was kind of like, oh, don't tell me everything because I don't want to be the one with the information because it's dangerous information. You're just going to talk right to my guy. I don't want to make this too much longer because I just wanted to get a foundation so that when I start doing research, I kind of know what I'm looking for. If Twitch was going to tell us something that would help his death make sense, what would it be? Queen of Pentacles, the Lovers, Four of Cups in reverse. So the Lovers could be about choice, or it could be about a relationship. The Queen of Pentacles here is person A. The first person that he was confiding in, that he had a close relationship with. Four of Cups in reverse is like... he couldn't get his mind off of whatever this was. It was deeply, deeply bothering him. And there was people that knew this and they were like, just drop it. Just drop it. Just drop it. Because they knew what he was up against, even though he wasn't realizing what he was up against. But whatever this was, it was something that didn't align with his morals or didn't align with the image that he wanted to put forward. Because he wanted to put forward this certain image so that he could help produce positive change in some kind of either controversial issue or something that was not a controversial issue yet, but would be when it came to light. Maybe something that people weren't seeing, or something that people were seeing but weren't realizing the extent of it, something along those lines. But essentially whoever he talked to about it was like, no, don't do that. Don't snap out of it. Don't do this. And he couldn't let it go. So he was trying to kind of put the feelers out to see, will this person help me? How will this person react? And he told a little bit too much to the wrong person, and that person had a hookup with somebody else, and that somebody else wanted to find out how much he knew. And that's how we got to where we are now. Now, for some reason, I'm not getting exactly who pulled the trigger. I'm feeling like the suicide note was like, you're going to expose this person you're signing you're in death with, so you're going to actually write it now so you know how it feels, to teach yourself a lesson. I'm feeling the gun came after that. But I'm not seeing if it was like something that just triggered him to want to pull the trigger once it was there, or if somebody else pulled the trigger. That part I'm not too clear on, which I know is like a main part of this, but I need to do a little bit more research to get that, I think, now that I know this. Again, my opinion. It's all my opinion. Clarifier for the Queen of Pentacles. Six of Swords in reverse. Yeah, that's that person A, person 1. And the Six of Swords in reverse is like, this is an issue that just kept, it would go and then it would come, it would go. He would make it seem like he was letting it go, and then it would really bother him. He's like, can't let it go. But he was like trapped in this. He couldn't move on from whatever this was and just leave it behind. Like, he couldn't leave it unresolved. Even if he were to move on to a different position or a different career, even if he were to quit being famous altogether and just wanted to go work at a grocery store, let's say. This was something he couldn't do that until he resolved whatever this was. He couldn't, it meant something to him. Like, deeply. The Lovers, clarifier for the Lovers. Nine of Swords. His relationship, yeah, it's the relationship. His relationship was causing him a lot of anxiety. He was not getting the support from his partner that he allegedly. He was not getting the support from his partner that he felt like he needed, carrying this heavy burden that he had. It's almost like she was like, you need to just let it go, or it's not important, or you need to drop it. And he was like, I can't, can you not see that this is really weighing on me? Like, I can't just go about it and ignore that this is in my brain. Four of Cups in reverse, clarifier. Three of Wands. Yeah, he had decided something, and he was trying to get his ducks in a row before taking the next step in whatever it was. And him talking to whoever he talked to about it was him trying to get ducks in a row. Either trying to gather more proof or evidence, or trying to go about it with like a force of multiple people instead of on his own. Like, hey, will you have my back in this? Something along those lines. But he was getting ready to make some kind of move. And somebody found out that he knew more than they expected him to know. I do see the mental illness prevalent here with him, but I really think it's because he's been holding on to this burden for so long and he couldn't do it anymore. He had to release it, and he was going to do that because he knew that him releasing it could bring some kind of healing or some kind of change that was really needed. It's almost like it got to a point where he was like, okay, it's worth the risk. I know I'm risking a lot, but it's worth the risk. I'm going to do a little bit more research on this and follow up with another reading. I just wanted to kind of get the background info and then I can look further into it. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will see you guys soon.